And so we had a meeting. It was a private meeting. And
however, it was taped, which to me felt, when I heard it, the meeting was fine, but to do that secretly,
What do
and
you
make
mean
that I
it.
guess recorded.
Jonathan
So
secretly recorded the
that
meeting.
To me, is deceptive.
He knew it
You
was a
go into
private meeting. Yeah.
And if I were recording, I would go into the meeting knowing what I'm saying is going to be said. So I think I would probably, in my own flesh, edit my words, maybe not say exactly what I'm thinking, or respond the way that I would had I not been recording.
Well, he was secretly recording. Of course, we didn't know it. But I will just say on the record, I don't regret anything that I said. Because, again, we were talking about, Jimmy was trying to explain about, God's order, of submission. And when someone is called into an office as the president of a network, that if you can't submit to that authority, you remove yourself from it.
And Joni, that would be true if this was CBS, Fox News, IBM, any other corporation.
Welcome back. This is Sam. On this channel, we understand that it is biblical and wise to examine all sides. So let's jump into it. I pulled a recording of this meeting that Jonathan was secretly taping. The hope was to learn more about the alleged child sex assault, the CSA, because Jonathan has promised that he will release more evidence to substantiate it. Yet I was surprised to find that the focus of the meeting increasingly became Joni and Doug's marriage. So in this video, we look further into the marriage. Before we jump into the marriage, let's take a look at this timeline. In 2020, the summer of 2020, that's when the alleged CSA took place. In 2021, November 2021, Marcus passes. Doug then divorces his wife in May 2022. Then Joni and Doug get married June 2023. Notice, Joni marries Doug a year and a half after Mark passes. This is a full year after Doug's divorce.
And one of the other issues that's out there among debate is the marriage between you and Doug after Marcus passed away.
Right.
As I understand, Jonathan and Susie said they struggled with that. But I remember when initially the dating and the engagement, they were especially Susie was very excited.
Oh, very excited. From the very beginning.
And wanted pictures. Yeah. Was it so excited?
I mean, I have so many texts of her being excited. And early on, when I found out Doug had gone through a divorce, after that, I need to make that clear.
Yeah.
After. I did not start talking to Doug Weiss until he was divorced. We started talking and more like friends. And then later it began to develop into something.
Yeah.
And we talked for hours. And I asked a million questions.
So did we.
But, yes, you did. Yes, you did. And what people don't know is that I actually brought people that I trust, that I said, hey, I want you to walk with me through this. And if you see anything, I told you, Cindy, you and Darius, I said, if you see anything, it's a red flag. I want you to tell me. Same thing with you. And several other ministers, and of course, my minister friend there in Tennessee. Also, my dear friend, I'm just not going to say everybody's name, but who, again, has been in ministry for 40 years. And we just began to walk through that process. One of the things that all of y'all said to me, you said to me, is just slow down.
Yeah.
And because you need to take time, and that's what I did. And we both
would
did.
Ask
we slowed down. Yeah.
So we would talk, and I know you would talk with probably several, but if there was ever a question about something, I was like, well, you might consider this or you might consider that.
It wasn't like we were yes people,
No.
like whatever.
Because it was
you
an
wanna do.
adjustment for
It's not
all of
that
us.
way at
Yeah.
all.
Well, I mean, and that's what a lot of people say that, oh, my
Yeah.
friends are yes people.
No.
My friends are not yes people.
No.
Count me out with that.
That's right.
Exactly.
So, and your friends wanted to see you happy. They did not
Yes.
want to help
Now
you.
that
But
is
getting
true.
back to, I mean, I remember distinctively at this table, Susie was so excited about
Yeah.
you and,
Yes.
and Doug. I mean,
Well, she was excited. And again, she was wonderful through that process early on. She thought it was great. She was so happy for me. She knew I was
Yes.
happy.
And
She told me,
didn't
I
Doug
think
ask-
he's the perfect person for you to, to be with. And then in
And Joni, did
December,
Doug ask Jonathan's permission?
in December,
Blessing.
Yeah.
Doug asked Jonathan out to breakfast because he wanted to get his blessing before he proposed.
Wow.
And Jonathan asked him a million questions and then gave his blessing. So, I mean, everything's going along. I have to say, my girls, they were still, because their father had been gone a year.
Yes.
And so, or by that time, over a year. And they were still missing him. They were still grieving, to some degree. But I knew in time they would come around because they wanted me to be happy as
Of
well.
course.
So
And you bought, I believe, I remember correctly, you bought a very nice custom suit for Jonathan because he was
I
going to
did.
walk you down the aisle. and-
Yes.
these are all the stories I tell you guys.
We're
So
very excited about that.
I took him to get a really nice suit.
Yeah.
He was excited about walking me down. And my granddaughter was going to be a flower girl. Bought her a
And
beautiful
she
dress.
was excited.
She was very excited.
And then what happened?
Well, I would say probably around March or April of 2023. We were going to be married in June of 2023.
Right.
Is when everything started to shift. But what happened that people don't know is that I told Susie and the kids that when I got married, that I would use Doug to co-host with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Doug has a seminary degree. He's a licensed psychologist. He's been in ministry for years. And
He's a seasoned television
well,
presenter.
and we just had, a little season of the kids hosting with me, but it wasn't Joni and one of the kids. It was
Right.
it was always Marcus and Joni. So it was a husband and wife. And of course, they would have continued to be a part and host when I wasn't there. And
As they do now.
yeah. So, but when Susie found out that's when the turn started, and then she pulled Jonathan into it, and then kind of there were rumblings with all the kids, like, well, maybe mom should slow down, or maybe and it was just like a 180 from what it had been, and so I just thought, well, Lord, I stayed with the counsel of you guys and of other ministers, seasoned ministers. And I knew that the Lord had brought this man into my life. I knew that I was going to get married in June. And so I just continued on. And of course, the kids did come to the wedding. My brother walked me down the aisle.
Mhm.
And that ended up being a blessing because my dad would have done it had he been alive.
why are Jonathan and Susie doing this? What's the reason for all this?
Well, the reason is clear. They did not want someone else coming in and taking their place. But the truth is, Doug didn't take anybody's place.
Okay, we've heard from Joni. Now let's hear from Jonathan. This is the secretly recorded taping. We're going to hear primarily from Jonathan, Pastor Jimmy, and Joni. Susie is present. However, she's silent in this clip.
I'm submitted to you in every aspect. The only aspect where there is some consternation in my spirit is having to read something that praises your marriage in front of our live worldwide studio audience. That's the only thing. There's been nothing else that I've been difficult about. I've submitted you. I've been an incredible son. I've been an incredible employee. I haven't had any problems with you or leadership. It's just with this error, this marriage, there's just been
First off, this is a viewer comment. So the fact that you're using that as the catalyst as to why you can't, do that is
really speaks to a much deeper issue in your heart. That's just an excuse, right?
That's right.
Well, the deeper issue is just feeling unwell in my spirit about the marriage. That's all it is.
Well,
It's nothing against
you have
you.
made your opinion an idol because everyone
right.
else disagrees with
That's right.
you.
Who's everyone else?
Everyone else just
Oh, you too, of course, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of others.
there's a
But
lot of
Jonathan,
others, a lot of
you
others.
continue to disrespect me in the sense that I've been doing this since before you were born. I have dozens and dozens of Doug stories that I could tell you, horrible situations that I've seen people come out of. And I'm saying, I know abuse when I see it. I know a situation like that. I am a marriage guy. I've given my entire life, adult life, to helping marriages. I'm not a divorce guy. I'm a marriage guy. I help people get married and stay married. The only time that I can shift over is when I know there's something that's damaging a person. So in my expertise, I talked to Doug a number of times. I talked to her and I told her, I'm not for Doug, I'm not against Doug. I just don't want you to get in any situation that God will bless. And so I started having conversations with Doug. Doug never badmouthed his wife to me. He never said anything bad about her. I talked to him about him. And he started telling me when he was saying things, it was consistent with 41 years of experience of people that I've talked to exactly in his situation. And I respected the fact that he never tried to trash Lisa to me. I talked to him about signing a prenup. Absolutely. I've got my own money. I don't need Joni's money. I talked to him about not being in leadership at Daystar. He said, I'm about to retire. I don't want another job. I don't need that. Blah, blah, blah. Every time I pushed a button, okay, and I pushed a lot of them, gracious, godly, righteous, prayed about it. The Lord spoke to me, talked to Joni, went through the whole process. That doesn't mean anything to you guys. You treat me like I'm just like you, or that really I'm less than you because I don't understand, because Doug knows how to talk to me and pull the wool over my eyes. I'm saying to you, I have her and me together. First of all, she just outranks you, period. That's a simple issue. But secondly, you've got 80 years of experience sitting right here talking to you. It's a spirit, Jonathan. It's a spirit that you won't listen, not just to authority, but to experience. Do you believe, Jonathan, that you're kind of representing your dad in all this?
Do I believe I'm representing my dad? I'm representing Jonathan Lamb. I'm carrying on his legacy, but
Do you believe your dad would be pleased that your mom's married to Doug?
I believe my dad would have wanted me to look out. The Bible says a watchman sees trouble coming and he sounds the alarm to save him. And if he doesn't, then he'll fall into the trap. I feel like I'm sounding the alarm with all these red flags that we see and that many others see.
There's not any red flags.
Well, Jonathan, as a pastor, some of the greatest damage that was ever done to me was by people who call themselves my watchmen.
Well, there you have it. I will say that examining a matter is very biblical. The grounds for Doug's divorce have been kept private by Lisa, his ex-wife, Doug and Joni. They have been assessed and judged in full disclosure with Pastor Jimmy Evans, who's a marriage minister, and he has judged the divorce as biblical. Anyone who knows Jimmy's life story, which he has been open and honest about, knows that he is legitimately the real deal. Even if you judge him by his fruit, you will find many whose marriages have been restored through his ministry. It's important that he provided both spiritual and practical advice, such as a prenup to protect Daystar and the family and Joni's families. Are Jonathan and Susie wiser than them all? What do they know that no one else does? I really hope they begin to disclose that. Also, why is Jonathan saying that his only concern was the marriage? What about the CSA? See you in the next video, where I will be tackling whether Jonathan was the heir apparent. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. This is an unpopular and different perspective, so please share the video Let's get this perspective out into the atmosphere and challenge people to look at the facts and come to the truth.